Narendra Modi, Jayalalithaa and Nitish Kumar. Three chief ministers who have made clear their intention to be Prime Minister. While all the talk over the past few months has been about the Gujarat growth model, what about Bihar and Tamil Nadu? And how have these three states performed under their respective chief ministers? Sample this. Bihar tops the list in terms of industries and services growth from 2006 to 2012. But the state is just starting to find its feet over the last 10 years. It has the advantage of a low base, while Gujarat and Tamil Nadu have seen strong growth for the last 4 decades. Also, Bihar has a lot of catching up to do when it comes to alleviating poverty, as it lags far behind Tamil Nadu and Gujarat. But Bihar is certainly moving faster. The state has managed to almost double its literacy rate since the turn of the century. Gujarat and Tamil Nadu, on the other hand, remain well above the national average of 74%. Tamil Nadu tops the list when it comes to curbing the infant mortality rate. Bihar and Gujarat have some work to do, but Bihar has managed to reduce the rate rapidly since 2006. Gujarat leads the race when it comes to providing safe drinking water, but Bihar and Tamil Nadu are not far behind. In fact, there is a huge rural and urban gap that exists in Gujarat when it comes to providing safe drinking water. Bihar has managed to bridge this gap over the last few years. There are some glaring deficiencies in Bihar when it comes to two specific social sector indicators. Nearly 77% of households in Bihar do not have a toilet. Gujarat and Tamil Nadu are better in comparison, but even these two industrialized states are trailing behind states like Goa and Punjab. The other indicator is electricity. While most of the households in Gujarat and Tamil Nadu have access to electricity, Bihar lags way behind, with just 16% of the households having access to electricity. Finally, on the issue of gender ratio, while Tamil Nadu has 995 women for 1,000 men, Gujarat has only 918 women for 1,000 men. So while it may be a shining Gujarat story, there aren't enough women to agree with this.
Well, that's the story of the three states who have chief ministers with prime ministerial aspirations. Joining me to discuss the performance of the three states per se and their chief ministers' records are Dr. Arvind Panagariya, the renowned economist and professor at Columbia University, Neelkanth Mishra, director at Credit Suisse, joining me in the Mumbai studio, and Dr. Lavish Bhandari, head of Indicus Analytics, who has done seminal work in states and their performances. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Well, Dr. Panagariya, let me start with you. You have seen the record of the states in terms of economic development and in terms of social development. The oft-repeated criticism of Gujarat is that economic development has gone way ahead, but social development has not. Is that your finding as well?
Now, Gujarat actually starts out at a low level of achievements in the social indicators. But if you look at the progress made, for example, in infant mortality rate, life expectancy, the literacy rates, etc., progress is quite impressive, actually. So I wouldn't say that its progress in the social indicators has lagged behind. At the same time, I quite understand that Tamil Nadu in particular has done very well on social indicators. So, I'm in this respect more eclectic, that we ought to learn from all the states. We don't have to necessarily be drawing on the experience of just one state.
Okay, Lavish, a similar question to you. Since you have studied the state of the states at a more recent level, would you say that Bihar has shown a seminal improvement in the last 10 years? Because there we have a clear record of 1 decade of one potential prime ministerial candidate.
Yeah, so the first, we have to see improvements and changes in the context of the particular situation. In Bihar, when Mr. Nitish Kumar had come in, there was a complete governance failure. So just to start to make those improvements required him to first set up the whole government machinery, or to get whatever was left over working. So I think that itself was definitely a seminal improvement. Now, the second part of the changes that happened in Bihar was that initially it does require that much more effort to get things moving in a society which is full of stagnancy across all domains. Now, if you compare that with Gujarat, of course, things were going well, at least on the economic front. However, one also has to see the context. Gujarat has a very large part of its area, which has very low density. So it is much more difficult and much more expensive to deliver government services. And also it has a fairly large tribal population, which takes much more longer for them to change. So I don't think one can judge Gujarat purely on the basis of some parts doing well and some not another, but I think there has been significant improvement there as well.
Okay. Well, Neelkanth, you look at it more from an investor's angle and the ability to do business. What has been your ground report?
No, I think there again, I mean, for what Dr. Panagariya and Lavish have mentioned, I think the starting point was very different for all of these three states. So, when Nitish Kumar became Chief Minister, for the 17 years before that, industrial production in Bihar was falling. Right, 87 to 2004, industrial production in Bihar was falling. Right, Bihar is 10% urban. So the kind of challenges that he faced would be very different from the kind of challenges that Narendra Modi faces or Jayalalithaa faces. So for Nitish, I think the first challenge was to get law and order in place, to make sure that roads were built. I mean, how do you get services from the government to the various remote villages if you don't have roads? Electrification is still an issue. For Gujarat, I think, as Lavish mentioned, I think provision of basic services. I mean, when you compare drinking water, for example, I mean, Bihar, you dig a hole, I mean, outside of the big cities where it's been depleted, but you dig a hole for 50 feet, you get groundwater. I mean, it's very rich in water. So provision of drinking water is not as big an issue as perhaps it is in Gujarat. You look at civic administration, and you look at cities, and you realize that in Gujarat, many of the cities are much better administered with much better urban infrastructure than any city in Bihar or maybe most cities in Tamil Nadu as well.
Okay. How is the comparison of civic administration in Tamil Nadu versus Bihar versus Gujarat?
So when you look at which cities have easier traffic, more of rail services. I mean, tier 2, tier 3 towns in Gujarat seem to be investing in metro rail and BRTS and all that. I don't see that level of dynamism, say, I mean, of course, Bihar is way behind, have much more basic things to do, but even in Tamil Nadu. So I would say that the starting points for each of these three states, I mean, Tamil Nadu has done a lot of work on setting up the auto hub. And the kind of industries that you start with as well. I mean, so if you have a refinery and petrochemicals as your core industry versus if you have autos and textiles as your core industry, I think the industrial cycle in those also plays a role.
Absolutely, and Gujarat, of course, being the hinterland of Bombay and a coastal city,
yes,
did have the advantage
correct,
of industries already being there. Correct. But Dr. Panagariya, come in on this in terms of civic administration, because what's falling to pieces at the national level is sheer execution. In that, how would you compare, the comparables, Bihar and Tamil Nadu, Gujarat and Tamil Nadu?
I think the Bihar experience is a very different one. I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot there, at least particularly from the industry's point of view. The industrial output is, less than 5 or 6% of the GDP in Bihar. Urbanization is 11%, which is the urbanization in India, 1901. I mean, 150 years ago, or about 110 years ago. And, electricity, only 16% of the homes. So I think, as far as India is concerned at the national level, it is really the truly relevant experiences are actually those of Tamil Nadu and Gujarat. Now, I understand Gujarat a lot better than I understand Tamil Nadu. In the last 10 years, Mr. Narendra Modi has run a very clean administration. A good governance. I mean, this is across the board. Any entrepreneur you will speak to would testify to that, including those from my own home state, Rajasthan, who prefer to go in and set up their industries in Gujarat rather than in Rajasthan. So, administratively, in terms of the clearances, business-friendly environment clearly Gujarat has done a lot better. And that is certainly a hopeful sign since Mr. Modi is the front runner in this election. Okay. Can we get something from Tamil Nadu? Certainly, but the Tamil Nadu is less clear because the government have been changing hands. So whether it is Mr. Karunanidhi or it is Jayalalithaa or it is generally better, better administration overall. And particularly, certainly in the social sector, it seems to be the general better administration, so that this, changeover of the governments has had little impact actually on the continuing good performance there. And one of the reasons I think is that Tamil Nadu in India is the only state which has a separate public health department with its own separate budget. So public health actually is probably better in Tamil Nadu than in virtually any other state. In other states, it is the medical services and public health which have been amalgamated long ago, actually is almost more than 50 years ago. And as a result, medical services have effectively taken over the public health services and so budget-wise as well as in terms of the cadre of the services, public health has quite badly suffered. So, I mean, that's my hypothesis.
I take your caveat that the successes of the chief ministers in their respective states may not necessarily qualify them to be successful prime ministers, because the skill required at the prime ministerial level and the powers available or the powers not available would be very, very different. We'll touch on that topic as well, but for the moment we have to take a break. We'll come back and discuss that issue, but more importantly, how have these states done on fiscal parameters, since fiscal profligacy has been one of the biggest problems of the government, central government, over the last 5 years. That discussion after the break with our experts.